is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.
Welcome to Today in Horrible History, your daily moment of historical misfortune. For February 3rd, 2022, we head back to February 3rd, 1959. That date is known popularly as the day the music died, the date of a small plane crash which killed 3 rising stars of early rock and roll. Decades ago, popular musicians played grueling touring schedules of many small markets, often on bills with multiple acts. This was the case with the Winter Party Tour of 1959. In an attempt to continue that tour from a Clear Lake, Iowa show to Moorhead, Minnesota for a Fargo metro area show on the following night, 3 early rock stars and their pilot were killed. Their small Cessna plane made it only 6 miles out of the airport before poor weather brought them down in farmland, killing all 4 men instantly. The dead included 21-year-old pilot Roger Peterson, who was apparently not informed of the poor weather approaching their flight path, and who, it was later learned, did not have clearance to be flying in poor visibility, using only instruments at his level of experience. The oldest of the dead was P Richardson, better known as the Big Bopper, who died at only age 29. His 1958 hit Chantilly Lace was one of the 3 most played songs on the radio that year. 6 days after his death, his song White Lightning was recorded by up-and-coming country star George Jones and became his first #1 hit on the country charts of his career. The youngest to die was Ritchie Valens, only 17 years old. Valens, whose birth name was Richard Valenzuela, his stage name was changed to make him sound less ethnic, was the child of Mexican immigrants. However, the family spoke English at home, and he had to learn the words to his influential song La Bamba, a cover of a Mexican folk song, phonetically. Valens' musical career was only 8 months old at the time of his death, but he produced the massive hit ballad Donna, and the flip side of that single, La Bamba, is credited as the first crossover hit between rock and Latin music, and has become the far more influential and famous song. The most famous crash victim was Buddy Holly, at only age 22, already a huge star, with a string of both solo hits and hits with his first band, the Crickets. Holly is considered one of the most important figures in early rock and roll, one whose songwriting and arranging had matured remarkably in a short time. We will never know what music he would have produced as pop changed radically in the following years. There are conflicting stories as to which musicians were supposed to be on the fateful flight and which ones were scheduled to do a long bus trip up to Minnesota with most of the musicians on the tour and their equipment. It's likely that Valens won a seat on the airplane that killed him as the result of a coin toss. Both Waylon Jennings, a huge country star who in 1959 was a member of Holly's second band, and teen idol Dion, claim to have given up their seat on the plane to one of the other musicians at the last minute. Holly is said to have joked that he hoped everyone riding the bus up to Minnesota would freeze, and Jennings says he joked back that he hoped the plane would crash. Yikes. The families of the dead found out their children and husbands died via news reports on the radio. Following this insensitivity, it became standard for news outlets to wait until families were notified before broadcasting unexpected death announcements. The crash has been immortalized in numerous songs and movies, but by far the most famous among them is singer-songwriter Don McLean's 1971 hit, American Pie. Lyrically, the song begins with obvious references to the crash and becomes a complex and increasingly broad metaphor about American popular culture. In that song, McLean used the term, "the day the music died," for the tragedy, a term which has stuck. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Today in Horrible History. Remember that after a brief visit, the rest of your day can only get better in comparison.
Life is a nightmare. Man, that's the way it seems. Life is a nightmare.